Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, please hit the like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of our updates. Now, let's dive straight into a major story unfolding right now in Abuja, Nigeria. Today, we're talking about the protest led by human rights activist Omoyele Sowore around the Free Nnamdi Kanu Now campaign, where things escalated in a serious way. According to Sowore, live bullets were fired at protesters, and the brother of Nnamdi Kanu was beaten and arrested along with his lawyer. Here's what we know so far. The protest began near the front of the Transcorp Hilton Abuja in Maitama, Abuja. The demonstrators were demanding the release of Nnamdi Kanu, who has been detained for a while and is a highly controversial figure. According to reports, the protesters say their demonstration was peaceful and orderly, but the security operatives responded with tear gas, live rounds, and arrests. Sowore alleges that the moment the protest kicked off, trucks of security forces rolled in, about 10 trucks, he said, and almost immediately they started shooting, deploying tear gas, and firing live bullets. He emphasized that none of his team were hit by the live bullets, which is quite remarkable. But the bullets were fired around them, and it created a chaotic situation. In the course of the crackdown, key persons were arrested. Nnamdi Kanu's younger brother, identified as Prince Emmanuel Kanu, was taken in. His lawyer, Aloy Ejimako, was also arrested and reportedly beaten before being taken to the FCT command of the Nigeria police force. The police claimed that there was a court injunction restricting demonstrations in certain zones around Aso Rock, the National Assembly, Force Headquarters, Eagle Square, and Shehu Shagari Way. They argue that those leading the protest breached the order. Now, why is this important? Why are people out in the streets? Well, Nnamdi Kanu has been detained for several years, and he is the leader of the proscribed group, Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. His detention has been surrounded by claims of political motivation, questions about his health, and calls for justice from his supporters. This protest is part of that wider movement. From a broader perspective, this protest illustrates some major themes in Nigeria today. Right to protest versus state security. On one hand, you have citizens exercising what they believe is their constitutional right to assemble and demand justice. On the other hand, the state insists on maintaining order, citing injunctions and what it considers threats to national security. Use of force by security agencies. The claims of live bullets and arrests raise alarm bells about how far security forces will go in suppressing dissent. If unprovoked firing occurred, as is claimed, that's very serious. Ethno-political tensions. The Kanu matter has a strong ethnic dimension, Southeast Igbo region, secessionist overtones, and a history of conflict. This protest is not just about one individual, but it taps into broader grievances. Rule of law. The question emerges. Was the injunction valid? Were protesters properly informed? Was force proportionate? All these are urgent questions now. Let's consider what actually happened step by step, based on available information. The protest was scheduled to march from Transcorp Hilton towards key government zones. Security forces already had a presence. Roads were barricaded. Heavy deployment in central Abuja, including Eagle Square and the Three Arms Zone. Protesters began chanting, "Free Nnamdi Kanu now. It's our constitutional right to protest," and "Don't tear gas us." According to Sowore, there was no provocation from the protesters when security started using tear gas and live rounds. The result? Panic, dispersion of protesters, some arrests, including Kanu's brother and lawyer, bystanders impacted. Some journalists also reportedly picked up, as of the most recent reports. Calm is beginning to return to Abuja, but security presence remains heavy, and questions remain about what happens next. Now, let's talk about what this means going forward, and what you, as a viewer, should keep an eye on. First, will the arrested persons be released promptly, and will there be transparency about what happened? If force was used without valid provocation, it sets a dangerous precedent. Second, how will the government respond to the protest? Will they engage with grievances or double down on security measures? Third, what happens with the injunction and the right to protest? If courts are repeatedly used to restrict protests, citizens may feel excluded from democratic processes. Fourth, how will this affect regional stability and national unity? The Southeast has long felt marginalized. Events like this may fuel more agitation if not managed carefully. Fifth, and importantly, how will the media cover this? How will accountability be enforced? And will there be independent investigation into claims of live bullets? For you, the viewer, some key questions to reflect on. Have you experienced or witnessed protests and security responses in your area? How did that feel? Do you believe the right to protest is being respected in Nigeria today? How much information are you getting from credible sources about what happens on the ground? What role can young people and civil society play in ensuring behavior by security forces stays within lawful bounds? And please, if you're watching this, like the video, subscribe, share with your friends so that more people know about what's going on. It matters. Let me also add a little context. This protest coincides with, or is being compared to, previous large protests like the NSAS movement of 2020, where young Nigerians demanded reform, and we saw the dynamics of citizens versus state power play out vividly. The memory of those events is still alive, and this incident could revive those debates. So, in summary, a protest meant to highlight the detention of Nnamdi Kanu and to assert the right to protest transformed into a scene of alleged live bullet firing, arrests, and beatings. On the surface, the cause is specific: free Nnamdi Kanu, but the implications are much broader, about justice, security, rights, and national integrity. I'll keep watching this story closely, and if you like, I can do a follow-up video when more details drop, especially on the condition of the arrested persons, what the government says, and whether there's any official inquiry. If you want that, let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Stay safe, stay informed. I'll catch you in the next one.